Okay, so last time I left the car, I had a problem with the shifter, and as it turns out, the shifter's sitting in there really loose, so that's part of the problem that was making it lift up. And then this C-clip here, if you're looking in there, was popping out. So what I gotta do is take this all apart. I gotta clean it all up. I've cleaned it up a bit. It's just full of decades of road grime, and I've bought a whole bunch of new parts here, just springs and plastic bits and diddly bobbers to reassemble it all and put it back into nominal condition. So the one weird thing about my setup is the connection from this rod that eventually connects to the transmission all the way to the shifter handle assembly. So this shifter is from the later cars, I believe, whereas this rod selector is part of the older cars. So this is probably native to the 68, and this might be from a 70 or something like that. So one of the problems is these holes are mismatched, and what was being used was this cut down threaded rod in here, and you can see it's all worn because the set screw off this guy ends up engaging that. This is the pin that holds it. So all of my bushings in here were deteriorated and smashed and messed up, which is why the shifter was able to swing around so much. So what I'll do is I'm going to take this piece out. Right here, I'm going to drill this hole out using a 12.5 millimeter drill bit I bought. And then what I'm actually going to do is cut this drill bit apart, and this drill bit will end up being the pin that links everything together as well. So first things first, I got to take this apart. First thing, I got to pull this old C-clip out, and mine's all worn down. So on the trip, what happened is this piece fell out, and what we were able to do is pull this shifter almost all the way out. And if you pull this little set screw out, the whole shifter slides out. And you can see that the cup here is pretty worn down, so this will come off, and you have the shifter that ends up in your hand. Now I'm going to drill out this hole. I got to make it 12.5 millimeters to match up with the bushings that came. I bought those from the internet, and 12.5 millimeter works perfectly for the shaft as well as the bushings and selecting everything together with the selector that comes out of the transmission and the selector handle. So just going to drill this out. Should only take a couple seconds, and can start assembling things back together. So actually might do a quick little segment on cutting the drill bit to become the pin. So here we go. So that was easier than I thought. Must not be hardened or anything. It cut out really well. So we can start cutting down the drill bit. I'll have to do a little bit of fitment there, so I'll do that back at the table and then assemble. Alright, gonna cut the drill near the base. Maybe I can salvage this and use it for something else later, but for now I'm just gonna cut this pin out. There we go, a nice fancy shifter pin for linking the gear selector to the input selection on the transmission. So now I got to put everything back together. I got all my new parts. I'll talk about this while I go, but I'm just going to start slapping it together. So first thing I got to do is pull these guys out. These are what attach this whole assembly to the transmission. And I got some new replacements for that. So I'll pop these out. So this thing here is a little bushing, and it's got a little flex joint in it to isolate some of the vibration of the transmission and mount it up. So I got 2 new ones of those because I'm not sure how old these are. They might be original to the car or to the transmission, who knows. So there's the new part. It's not pure BMW stock, but it's a good reproduction, I'm sure. So you can see already, just from when I put those in, they're a much tighter fit. So that's going to give the shifter feel a better, more rigid setup already. So that's one thing that's better. I'm not going to tighten these up all the way right yet, because I'm going to save that for when I put it in the car. Next thing I'm going to do is assemble all the selector into the cup, and then try it all out with the linkage. So here we go. So got one of the lower cup sleeves goes in. Selector goes in. It's a little tricky, you gotta kind of feed it through. There we go. So then this cup goes on top. It's the same part, I think. I've just done my best to buy what I need to buy. Got my C-clip and the spring. So I'm gonna put the C-clip right on top of the spring and see if that does it. Otherwise I might need another flat washer to make this work. I might reuse that guy. Spring. There it goes. That all worked. The snap ring is holding it in. It's nice and tight. Maybe a little too tight, but I'm thinking that plastic's going to wear in a bit. The snap ring is all engaged at the front and the back. So that feels really good already. An improvement there. So we got improvement at the mounting, got improvement in the ball of the shifter. Now we got to see how the linkage works. So the linkage where it connects to the car, it's got a couple of dowels that just slide everything together, and then this little cup slides over the dowels to hold them in place. We can put all this together. So these don't look new because I've been playing with them, but they're the bushings that slide into this shaft. So just pop them in. So there they are in place. They're now going to come around the selector, like so, Got my fancy new drill pin that I made. That's nice. And there we go. I got a really nice rigid setup for that. So the last thing that goes in is the set screw. It goes in to seat the pin. And that is going to be a really nice setup on the car. Okay, so I'm under the car, and the first thing I'm going to do is stick in the input selector onto the transmission. It's got this dowel pin I got to hammer into place. It's pretty tight. I'm not sure what you're going to be able to see here, but basically you just slip that over the end. I got the dowel started there, and just tap it in place. It could be pretty tricky, but we'll see. And then after that, this little collar slides over to keep the dowels in place. So I've got it adjusted so the pin is through just enough to catch the hole so I know where it is. Oh, there it goes. Had to get a bit of a chisel on there, and I just got that in, so that's good. Probably would have been a lot easier if I had just jacked the car up further and or even had it on a hoist. Now I got to put the little collar slide into place, and that's easy. Okay, so now I got to put the assembly in here. You can see I've already got the bolts in, so I got to sneak this whole piece up inside and then fasten these guys tight, and then this arm I'm going to set up onto the transmission stay, and then I work from the top. So this is a little tricky, but I think, well, it came out, so hopefully it goes back in. My long extension, a ratchet. It's quite the setup. But this is the only way to do it without pulling the drive shaft, which I don't really want to do. I would recommend probably pulling the exhaust and the drive shaft when you do this, but anyway, it's all set up. So all I gotta do is hook this guy up and tighten this guy up. Kind of tough because you're pushing up on the bolt while you're tightening this nut. I'll put the handle in from the top, and then we'll move topside. First thing is the spring and the washer on top of that, and the C-clip that splits off there. Need the one to snap it together. So here we go. Okay, and that's snapped in, so how does it feel? It feels good. There you go, just make sure that snap ring's all in. Oh, it feels super tight, that's good. And I think these are supposed to all snap together. Alright, so I think I got it. And man, does it feel good. Just get the booter on the bottom. And I think we're all set. Awesome. I'm gonna go take it for a drive now. It's way easier to select a gear now. Alright, here it comes, the first downshift session. Repair a long time ago.